before. Everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up.
Welcome to Tales from the Field. We are back and better than ever. My name is Bradley Ball, and it's so good to have you with us today. Yesterday was our kickoff show, and we covered Azure Fast Track and how you can interact with us over at Microsoft. If you haven't seen that episode, don't worry, stay right there. The show is posted to YouTube, and you can check it out after the stream at your convenience. And if you want to interact with us on the show right now, we are streaming out of the Twitter account of SQL Balls. That's me. Josh Ludeman, that's my buddy Josh over there, one of those sites. And then also on LinkedIn under SQL Balls. Again, that's me. Also, we are streaming live on YouTube at the Tales from the Field Hub. So if you want to, you can go over there, comment on any of those streams. We will get your comments and they may be a part of the show. Don't forget, very important, next week is SQL Saturday Dallas, and our good friend Daniel Taylor will be presenting, as will our good friend Buck Woody, who's joining us today, Bob Ward, Chris Hyde, Matt Gordon, Anthony Nocentino, Melanie Zacharias, Kevin Fizel, Ree Merritt, Ryan Adams, and more. As if it couldn't get any better than that. Buck Woody himself is here in the Electrons with us. Greeting and salutations, Buck.
What? You know, something, Bradley, that I need to let you know and need to let your viewers know too, is even though Fruit Loops are different colors, they're all the same flavor.
Really?
Yeah.
It's just an illusion in my head that the red is cherry.
It's all an illusion.
Wow.
You just make it up as you go.
I was throwing away the oranges for all those years. Who knew?
Yeah.
And of course, before we go any further, let me introduce my co-hosts. I am joined by Andreas Padilla, Josh Ludeman, and the always impeccable Niraj Jafari. Andreas, how you feeling after day one?
I feel great. We had a great show yesterday. I gotta admit, it was a beautiful kickoff. Couldn't have asked for anything more. You know, Josh, how do you feel?
Wake up,
The smooth criminal himself.
Yes.
I'm right here. How's everybody
I'm
doing?
excited
I'm
today.
excited to hit day 2, episode 2, and keep going with the good stuff.
Does Justin Timberlake know that you have his hat?
No, but now he will because you outed me.
Well,
Sorry.
I was going to say, I'm looking forward to that revenge fight. And
Yeah,
Niraj?
that should be awesome. I'm
How you
assuming
doing?
it's a slap fight at this point.
Probably.
Thanks, Brad. Yeah, it was a great day, and looking forward for this first episode on. As you got the award, let's see what you have it in mind.
Oh, I was going to say Niraj. So much so
Man.
soon. Right out of the gate like
Spins a
that.
weed.
Wow.
It is.
Right to work.
It's about a half-hour show. I'm blown away, breathless, speechless as always. So I won yesterday, as Niraj said. The topic of mine, and so the topic today for each of you is going to be: tell me about the top tech trend that you are excited about. If you had someone sitting in front of you, why should they care about that? Tell me how it is that you would convince them. Tell me what the good stuff is that you're going to give them. Before we get too far, though, I want to toss it over to Buck. Buck, you're a very busy man. You've got a ton of presentations coming up. There's this little thing you're working on called SQL Server 2022.
Yeah.
It's a big deal.
Huge. It's huge. What we're doing right now is Bob Ward and myself are traveling around the U.S. We're going to Chicago. We're going to Dallas. We're going to Atlanta, as you pointed out, and we're talking about a SQL Server 2022 roadshow where we're doing a day on SQL Server 2022 and all of the code. I've been testing Bob's code, and it's Bob. So, I mean, it is so deep. And so I'm doing a session the next day on SQL Server Security 101, a full workshop from beginning to end, all of it. You'll be an expert in like 4.5 hours. And then we're followed by our partner, Pure Storage, who's going to come on and show us all kinds of cool things about like Azure Arc and S3 storage and SQL 2022, all those cool kinds of things. And then we're following that with a Data Saturday or a SQL Saturday or a user group in every one of those locations. And then, of course, we've got Live 360 coming in November right here at Universal Studios. And I've got my two buddies working with me, Mr. Bradley Ball and Mr. Josh Ludeman. And we're going to be doing a Delta course where we show you in 8 hours all of the stuff from like SQL 2017 up through 2022, all of it, and cloud stuff in 8 hours. And that's hands-on workshop. All that's sample code, the whole 9 yards. And then I'll be in Las Vegas for the Azure Data Conference, which is the one where we're talking about the new intelligent data platform you may have heard of. So we'll be revealing a lot more detail there, lots of demos, lots of other things. And then they usually tape a broom to my back so that when I leave the room, I sweep up as well. And that's in addition to my regular day job. And then, of course, Marjorie has me do things as well.
Our buddy Dan Taylor, he is hello to him as he's standing in line for the Ratatouille ride over at beautiful Walt Disney World.
Yeah,
had to see the infamous Buck Woody. I don't think he spelled that right. It's the famous Buck Woody. I'll talk with him about that.
Well, it's either one works. Either one's works. And I mean, we were just with Mr. Taylor. I think I believe it was yourself and a few other folks on this call. And if memory serves, I dragged you all into France and made you go into Beauty and the Beast and do a sing-along with a bunch of 3-year-olds.
I was going to say, you sang Be Our Guest, but it was my pleasure to be there witnessing that.
It was a magical day. It was a
I fell asleep 5 minutes into Buck Woody singing. 5 minutes in, and I was passed out in my chair.
He was.
Which he needed to be on the front row with us. So that way we could have kicked him. So
yes, a busy day. Thanks for having me on the show. This is great. I like the fact that it's just some banter. There's lots of tech shows out there. Lots of folks doing how you do memory lock semaphores and all. That's great and everything, and you need those. I watch those from time to time, but it's really nice just to meet the people behind the tech.
Absolutely. And here's the big thing, right? And I don't want to undersell this for a second. If you live in Atlanta, if you live in Chicago, if you live in Dallas, if you live in Las Vegas, or you're traveling to Las Vegas to be able to go to one of the conferences, or if you're traveling to Orlando to be able to come to Live 360, you have these wonderful opportunities to see Buck Woody, Bob Ward presenting this content on SQL Server 2022. Bob's going to be at the PASS Summit. It's at the exact same time. We're taking the Florida route, which is always the better route, in my opinion. I mean, much love to the PASS Summit. Hope everybody has a great time out there. But how can you beat Live 360 at the beautiful Lowe's Royal Pacific Resort? I almost feel like every time I say beautiful, I'm stealing Josh Ludeman's line. Josh, do you want to do it one time for me?
It's beautiful Lowe's Royal Pacific Resort on the spacious and glorious campus of Universal Studios Orlando.
And it's just like a 5-minute walk, and they have a Voodoo Donuts. So for breakfast, we pop over and get some donuts. And then how can your day go bad? You're in Florida, you're at a Polynesian resort, and you're learning about SQL Server with Voodoo Donuts.
And Voodoo Donuts has a donut with bacon.
It does.
Mic drop. Right there.
I was going to say, it doesn't get any better than that. It's just absolutely fantastic.
So if you come for the donuts, stay for the SQL knowledge.
Absolutely.
There you go.
So, Buck, if you want to hang around, one of the things you can do is you can help me award points as the host, as our very special guest.
Are we doing trivia again? Because I've got a trivia. You want me to give a trivia?
Oh, yeah. Give me another trivia.
Okay. What was the first toy advertised on TV?
Oh, I don't know.
Mr. Potato Head.
Oh, really? Not Lincoln Logs?
Yeah, no. And what is the shape of a Pringle? Speaking of potatoes. Come on, no math guys on here? Am I it? A hyperbolic paraboloid.
A hyperbolic paraboloid. Wow. That is a $10 toilet paper word right there. The word of the day, toilet paper, every now and hyperbolic parameter.
Yeah. And most of the toilet paper in France is pink.
Buck Woody just dropping knowledge bombs.
Dropping knowledge bombs.
All right. So
here we go.
Today is Tuesday. The rules for the show are that whoever won the previous Tuesday show, in this case, since Monday was our launch, it was me. I won. So what we're going to do is I get to pick the topic. I award the points, as will Buck Woody, who is our special guest. And each of the gentlemen looking in front of us, Andreas, Josh, Niraj, You can talk for as long as or as little as you would like, but you just have to tell us what is your top new tech topic that you'd like to talk about. Josh, since you may die in a battle with Justin Timberlake over that hat at any moment, I want to make sure that we go with you first before he bursts in the door behind you, if he's trying to steal it back. So without further ado, Josh, what is your top new tech?
So for me, what I'm really focusing on is a top tech to watch is really in the space of hybrid and bringing the compute to the edge. So for Azure, that's in Azure Arc. So where you can extend the management plane of Azure onto your virtual machines on premises, or actually bring cloud services down to on premises using, Arc-enabled data services, Arc-enabled dev services like logic apps and functions and things like that. That's really what I'm focused on, because we all love the cloud, I think, on this call. Everybody here loves the cloud, but we also understand the cloud isn't for everybody. Not everybody's ready, whether it's industry reasons, whatever. The ability to bring the cloud down and into their data center is huge for me, and then be able to manage it all in one place. So it's, not that historical problem of, trying to manage two different, arenas, so to speak, between the public cloud and your private cloud on-prem.
117 points from Buck. I mean, that was on edge. My goodness. And I gave 10 to Josh. Yeah. Oh, buzzword bingo. There we go. So Josh, give me a scenario, right? Everything you said, perfect, fine. I'm a real world customer. Give me an example. Who's a real world customer that would use something like this?
So I think, when I think of real world customers in this scenario, I look at, retailers or anyone running a business where your business isn't running in a central location, but there's also satellite locations. So where you're able to manage those edge pieces of infrastructure, like maybe in a retail setting, being able to deploy those systems out at different retail stores, but still manage it from the central and even manage it from your cloud provider, in this case, Azure. That's the easy one for me. When I start looking at that scenario and how that can work for other industries, I think of things like cruise ships, because they're their own little entity traveling around that have their own IT infrastructure. That right there, I think, is huge as well. But those are the two scenarios that always pop up in my head as something that's a great use case for hybrid and for edge.
Excellent. I awarded you some additional points. I love it. I love everything that I'm hearing. If a customer is very interested in a scenario, do you have any advice for them?
So I think for customers looking to get more into, this edge, or even specifically Azure Arc, we've got some great resources. Obviously, the Microsoft docs on Arc give you a great overview and a technical deep dive in a lot of ways. The other thing I would look at is what we call the Arc Jumpstart, which is an open source program to drive customers and help customers, really get started with Arc and be able to deploy it as snippets in test scenarios, whether you want to deploy a SQL server on Arc data services, or be able to deploy VMs, deploy the agents to VMs and things like that. I think Arc, it depends on what kind of learner you are. I think, with the audience here, we're seeing, we're going to see people who really need to read the documentation, or folks like myself who are more hands-on. The Arc Jumpstart and actually seeing how you would deploy this and get it out there and get my hands on it, that's important and key. But the documentation is another great way to go.
I give you additional points for the Arc Jumpstart, and also aka.ms/FTA. If you are looking at a project, Fast Track, we currently are working with customers that are deploying that technology right now. So absolutely come and contact us and contact our team. Josh, I got to tell you, you have set an extremely strong example right out of the gate. I'm going to say that I'm just going to spitball. We'll round it up. 280 points for Josh. 280 points. Niraj, this is a tough act to follow. What you got?
Query Store in SQL 2022.
Oh, boom. Yeah, what else? What else needs to be said? So first off, if you aren't familiar with the history of the Query Data Store, this is what I like to call Connor Cunningham's love letter to DBAs everywhere. It used to be, if you wanted to get information about what was executed on your system, you had to go into memory. You had to dump out occasionally the queries that were actively running, the execution plans that were actively running. And remember, it's not the actual execution plan, it's the estimated execution plan. Then you'd have to marry that up with statistics. All of this work had to be done. And then in SQL Server 2022, there's max doc recommendations that will be offered for query plans. There's additional information that's going to be put together with that, new reports. Such a phenomenal tool. We like to refer to it as the flight data recorder of SQL Server. It's running as long as you've got it turned on and you've got it enabled, and it's going to be enabled by default now. It's just a fantastic tool. If you're in Azure SQL Database, Azure SQL MI, it is on by default because we know as an organization how handy that is. Buck, what do you think? Like 100
decimals.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say 2022 reference 100.735. Niraj, I'm giving you 150 points. Not quite as good as Josh's though. Josh is at 280. You're at 250.7563.1280. It's we can round that up eventually. Andreas, how about you? Top tech talk.
Man, I don't know how I can top this. Josh, the Weavy spins. Okay, if I were to talk about one subject, it's along the lines with Josh there. It's on the edge. It's Percept. You know, it's hard to get into model deployments and pushing those models to give you inference, to give you prediction on the edge. That stuff's hard. So with Percept right now, let me see if I can bring my Percept device. I know it's sort of hardwired into my desk right now, but I implore you, any of you out there who wants to start developing and putting AI models, vision AI models, speech models out on the edge, get one of these guys. These guys are $350 on the Microsoft Store. It will accelerate your model deployment, your model creation. With our Vision AI Studio, with our Speech Studio, you can start developing out of the box Vision AI models that can give you, help you paint scenarios for retail. Are people buying things off the shelf? Scenarios where maybe for construction sites, are people going into zones that they should not be in? Is there a security issue or is there a safety issue? You know, you don't want to have workers walk into a zone that's, they're moving heavy machinery. For machine maintenance, that's a big one. That's where these guys come in. Being able to develop a model that can not only tell me if a machine looks good, the vision is coming back, and maybe there's moving parts. Do all the moving parts look like but what if a sound gets introduced? What if there's an anomalous sound that just comes in to play? Everything looks good, but the sound's telling me something different. I want to be able to know that, and that saves companies millions of dollars being able to develop those models that I deploy out in the field. What other scenarios do we see Percept working into? Factory of the future, making sure parts, conveyor belts, all products are being labeled appropriately, constructed appropriately. Drone delivery systems, being able to deliver a package and being able to develop a model that can help you land a drone in a very precarious situation. Medical scenarios. I mean, the list goes on and on that I can do this with it. Let me bring up one second, you guys. For our audience out there, we put one of these. 2,135 points from Buck already, and we're not even done. This is a new record. This is a drone with a Percept device on it. And it's able to tell me data that's coming in, give me a look with the camera on board. It can tell me if there's any objects that I should be watching out for, all those goodies. Easily deployable with our Percept device. And then the last thing I want to mention is that I know we're talking about Edge, and I know Niraj mentioned SQL. What if I could develop and deploy an SQL Edge database on a device like that? That's hard.
Wait.
Edge databases
hold on.
we
So,
need
see,
on these
you're putting
devices.
a SQL database on your drone, on your Percept device, on your drone.
Yep, and I'm putting it on this guy. And what does SQL Edge give me? It not only lets me put in a ton of data on there, I can attach streaming analytics to it. I can do out-of-the-box machine learning with models that are deployed and reading from tables on the edge. I can deploy SQL Edge not only on Percept, but I can deploy it on an NVIDIA device like this. This is an Xavier. So for those scenarios where you don't want to, you're used to working with SQL Edge, you like its power, you're comfortable with it, the working with it and deploying it onto devices, we're making it easier for you. Now, I'm going to say something. Bazinga, Josh, I win.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I don't even know. There's nothing. I mean, yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
I don't know if I could. I don't know how I could beat that. I mean, you even brought in toys. You brought in drones. I mean,
that was one of the reasons I gave him, and he also said Microsoft Store, so he kind of sucked up to corporate there, and so I gave him extra.
I love
points.
it.
Once again,
Yeah.
I mean, look, it's
That was the
sucking
point
up will
too.
get you
That
all
was the
kinds of
point too,
promotions.
Andreas. Yes.
Tomorrow, I
It's-
will be the assistant regional manager because of the job.
Only if you come in on Saturday.
I'm going to make it official. Next week, next Tuesday, Andreas is the winner. You will be the host. You will take over hosting duties.
Ooh, love it. Finally, you guys keep winning and winning. The one time I eke in.
So Bradley, what you're saying is if you do well on this show, you get more work. Is that?
Yeah.
But don't. I don't want to be host again. That's just
Okay. I was just getting ready to say it sounds like regular work. Like if you do a really good job, they give you more to do.
It is. He's got to think of a topic. He's got to host. He's got to come in here and corral all of us. It's not an easy job. It's hurting some cats. So we are very busy as a whole. So let's talk a little bit about where we're going to be. So last night I was presenting to a user group, and tonight, lo and behold, I'm presenting to another user group. Cedar Rapids, Iowa City. We're going to do the Azure Snap Serverless Pools Polaris Deep Dive. And then tomorrow I've got the Quad Cities. We're going to do
Quad City. What's a Quad City?
Josh, can you explain the Quad Cities?
Have you not heard of Quad City DJs?
The Quad Cities is in the Iowa Cedar
Look
Rapids.
at me. Do I look like I listen to something called the Quad City DJs?
Yes, you do. You do.
Okay. Well, I don't. I don't know what that means.
So the Quad Cities is in the Iowa region.
Okay.
And so
They just have the 4 cities in Iowa. Is that it? Is that what it is? Or
there's
exactly.
probably more.
Okay.
I'm sure there's more.
Okay.
So I'll be presenting there doing DevOps and CI/CD for Azure Snaps Analytics. Not this weekend, but next weekend. Our friend Daniel Taylor is presenting at SQL Saturday Dallas. You want to pass up your database, migrate to Azure. We've already talked about this. Great lineup over there. Amy Harold, who is running the event, is going to be our guest next Tuesday on the show. She's going to talk to us all about Data Saturday and the wonderful things you can do. Remember, the deadline to sign up is the 20th of September. So 1 week from today, that's the last day that you get to sign up. So if you're in that area, you want to go see Buck Woody, you want to go see Dan Taylor, or you want to go see Bob Ward, Reed Merritt, so many other wonderful people who will be there, you need to go and sign up now. It is a free event. I mean, it doesn't cost you anything. Please sign up. And then we've got the weekend after that, Data Saturday Atlanta. I'll be presenting indexing internals for DBAs and developers. Dan Taylor is also presenting. You want to pass up your database. Buck is there again. Bob is there. Ree is there. So many wonderful people. Anna's going to be there. I mean, it's going to be a big, wonderful crew. And then the weekend after that, on October the 8th, my buddy Andreas Padilla, right down there, the winner of today's show, he will be presenting on streaming data analytics with Azure, developing best practices and nuances. Andreas, tell us about your presentation.
Well, we're going to talk about how to get into streaming. Data is moving. It's moving constantly. I need to be able to capture it and put my finger into that water fountain and get some analysis off the right as quickly as possible. Let me show you how to do that. Okay, we're going to talk about Databricks. We're going to talk about streaming analytics. We're going to talk about Azure Data Explorer and how much of an undervalued workhorse that service is. We should be using that everywhere.
Absolutely. Oh, you warm my heart. And so also I want to point out Live 360, because in November, my favorite event every single year, Live 360, as we've already discussed on the beautiful Universal Studios Resort, the Lowe's Royal Pacific, going to be decorated for the holidays. This is just an example of some of the great content you're going to see. Buck, Woody, Bradley Ball, Josh Ludeman, all of us, we're doing our hands-on lab. This is going to be a Saturday hands-on lab event on November the 13th. Our good friends, Karen Lopez and Thomas LaRock, data platform MVPs for Microsoft, and they have been for quite some time. Wonderful, fantastic people. They've got a workshop on the Monday introducing introduction to Azure Data Platform for data professionals. Then we've got the the Azure Data Platform Security Review. Wasn't easy for me to say. I almost tripped over my own tongue there. By Buck Woody. I've got indexing internals for DBAs and developers. Josh Ludeman has introduction to Azure Arc for data services. I'm going to be covering your Polaris deep dive once again. And again, this is just a small snippet. This is not all of the sessions or the panels. To be able to go to our pre-con, go to aka.ms/live360. That will take you to that session, but you'll easily be able to find the entire schedule. Let's see.
Fantastic.
So
What about Ignite, Brad?
Oh, Niraj, once again, your brilliance. It just shines. It shines.
Well, and we should mention, because the one at the Lowe's Resort is going to be in November. We're serving a full Thanksgiving dinner at our workshop, aren't we? Josh, you're still doing that, right?
Yeah, not me.
I thought you were bringing that, Buck. That was what we discussed in the last meeting.
No, you said you were going to dress up as a turkey, and you had a whole thing.
Turkey and dressing. I heard that.
I was going to dress, and you were going to be a turkey, and it was going to be turkey and dress. You don't remember this?
No, I'm more of a yam guy. I'm not a turkey. I'm more of a yam.
I thought you were going to be the
Well, there you have it. We've got to find a turkey costume for Josh Ludeman.
We absolutely do.
So, and don't forget, Microsoft Ignite is coming up. One of the wonderful things, first off, signing up for the online Microsoft Ignite is free. So you absolutely want to go and do that. When you sign up, you can get consulting one-on-ones with great people who work at Microsoft, including Azure Fast Track. Our colleagues are there. There will be app dev, there will be infra, there will be security, but there's also going to be the data platform, because, of course, data is the best. And we're going to have 3 sessions, one on Azure Synapse Analytics, one on ML Flow for Analytics, and then another one for your end-to-end designing of your data platform in Azure, where we're going to talk about the data platform in general. What else am I forgetting? Anything else? Next week, we've got Amy. Live 360 reminder?
I think that's it.
Ignite has opened up to
right.
register.
You were going to ask me about the Boeing thing again.
Not the Boeing.
Remember, we had a potato thing going.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, that Boeing uses potatoes in aircraft to actually simulate humans for Wi-Fi dispersion. It's a real thing, and they call it the synthetic personnel used for dielectric simulation, or SPUDS. That's a true statement.
What? Huh.
So this is why I love it.
It's a potato kind of day. You know, potatoes, so versatile. Potato chips, French fries, mashed potatoes. It's like the other vegetables aren't even trying.
Right? You can run a
All right,
clock
with that,
people.
but I was going to say potatoes win the day. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Education. I try to do this every day, call it replication. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.